Hello everyone, Mark Verico, owner of MAV Gunworks. I put up a video on setting up your full length resizing die and some of the things you need to check when you are setting that up. And have you ever been in a job interview or something where you feel like, I should have said this, I probably should have elaborated a little bit more on that? Well, that's kind of how I feel after that video. It's a good video. It does show you how to set up the die, and it does give you some information on what you need to look for when you are and reasons why. But I wanted to elaborate a little bit more on bumping that shoulder and the reasons why, or why you should or why you don't have to. Let's get into the reason why you don't have to first. The reason why you don't have to first is you're going to shoot it out of the same gun religiously. You're only loading for your gun. You don't care. It's your brand new brass. This is what you're shooting. Done. That's it. So yeah, it's going to fit in your gun. Because it fire forms to your gun, and it will work. You still need the neck size, and there is just neck sizing dies that you will neck size, and because you could be sitting there saying you're watching my first video going, yeah, my brass always works. It works in my buddy's gun. Well, your buddy's gun could be chambered a little bit bigger, because we're only talking thousandths of an inch. And that's why it fits in that. But you could go to another buddy and it might not fit in his gun because you didn't bump the shoulder back. So that's something to think about. Do you need to worry about it, or do you even care about bumping the shoulder? Because I said earlier in that video, the reason why I don't bump them back all the way is because of expansion and things that takes energy and stuff like that. That's the reason why you might not have to bump your brass back. I will tell you, I hunt. That's my main reason for development loads, custom rifles and everything. And I bump back 4 thousandths usually on normally. If it's right around, I do have some guns that only expand 3 thousandths, which I will show you. I will bump it back 3 thousandths or maybe only 2 thousandths. The reason why is because I don't hunt in a clean room. A lot of my guns are out west. They go out west and we hunt. So I bump the card just to give a little bit of clearance, and you're talking thousandths of an inch. So if it's mud in there, of course it's not going to chamber right. But I'm giving myself a little bit of distance, so when we're cycling rounds, it's a nice smooth cycle, and I'm not forcing things back into a perfect fit, because once you fire the brass, it does form to that chamber, usually in a perfect fit. So I give it a little bit of leeway that's why I like to bump it back. So that's probably the reason why I do that. And another reason why you might want to bump, and I do bump back to SAAMI specs. Remember, SAAMI is the original international size for each cartridge. The reason why I bump back to that is I live in Pennsylvania. We do a lot of hunting in the northeast part of the United States. Our shots are generally around 100 yards. That's it. Now, my 308, I kind of described that earlier. It's a custom and it is awesome. And I can take the eyelashes right off a deer if I want. And it shoots very well. So I do a lot to make that gun shoot, because it's me. Do I have to? No. My son, my youngest son, and my brother both hunt with 30-06s. I put both those cases, when I load for both of them, they're both shooting interlock Hornady bullets, because it relates me back to the Courtlock bullet back when we were kids. Those Remington Courtlocks you bought for $6 a box. I still have some, but they were devastating on 100 yards. And Hornady, I think, really, their interlocks are very close, because I load those for the Pennsylvania woods up here, and they're 30-06s, and they're just devastating. But I turn them back to SAAMI specs for them to use, and they really like them, and their guns shoot good. And again, they're shooting 100, 200 yards. We have a 400-yard shot tops, and they can still make it with that. they are consistent in their guns because I have their guns set up pretty good, just like you would buy a custom rifle. Not, well, yeah, a custom rifle, but, or you buy a Seekins or the reason why you would buy a Seekins or the higher end Bergaras and stuff like that, because they're bedded and everything else, and they're going to be consistent. So in saying that, I do bump back to SAAMI specs because of who's going to use the gun. I have a couple of 6.5 Creedmoors. My oldest son uses one of them. I know, I tried to raise him right, and he wanted to have 6.5 Creedmoor, so I feel I failed as a father. That's the one he uses now. They're a great gun. Don't get me wrong. They're a great caliber and great gun. Just over-marketed, and people like to pick on people who use them. And believe me, I sit in a tree stand and I send him all those memes about the people using a 6.5 Creedmoor. So, but I have a couple of them, so I turned them back to SAAMI specs. I have a couple 308s. My 308s I keep separate because I load them separate. I was showing you in that one video, I was resizing, bumping it back to meet mine. That's mine. The other 308s get a wholly different, I put them all back to SAAMI for my AR-10 and stuff like that. But that's why you would want to bump back to SAAMI. Now, I didn't go over maybe the comparators as good as I should have too in that video. And I just wanted to touch again on them and the different types and maybe why you want to choose either one that's going to last you a long time. The all-around one that I would say would be, if you're just, okay, I just want to get one that I can do everything with, is Hornady. And I'm going to tell you why. Because you could take a brand new bullet and you can measure the brass, the shoulder on brand new bullet, so that you would know that's what SAAMI, or close to what SAAMI is, or what should be SAAMI, or a little less. So that's why I'm saying the Hornady. This set generally will run you maybe $70 with the extra vise thing on for the micrometer. But these here are for doing your ogive on your bullets. These here are for your shoulder bumps. It does come with instructions. It does not come with a carrying case like this. This was something I bought on eBay for 15 bucks or whatever. 3D printers out there. You guys do a heck of a job. Love it. I like it. It works well. It's probably not the fine-tunedest piece of equipment that I have when I'm measuring shoulders, so I have to mess and make sure I'm getting a good number as I'm going. The next one I would probably tell you I use the most is the Forster. I like this one. That's the one I showed you yesterday. Very simple to use. You turn the dial for the cartridge. Instructions are in there. It does tell you for what size shoulder, and also it comes with ogive too. And then you can see on there it has calibers. So very simple to use, very nice to use. I highly recommend this one. They run about 160 bucks, but it limits you to not do brand new bullets because you cannot fit a loaded bullet in that. The next one is, let's say this is all you have one gun, you're loading for one gun, and you want to turn it back to SAAMI specs, or everyone in your family has 30-06 and you want to turn it back to SAAMI specs every time, is one of these things. Very simple. This is a Lyman, very simple tool. You just take, this one is for, I only have one of these. I don't know where it came from, but sometimes I will buy an estate box of old reloading stuff, and it had to come in one of them. This is for the 6.5 Creedmoor. Again, I'm developing a pattern with this gun. It is a very good gun. I know I'm picking on it and everything, but it is a very good cartridge, very accurate cartridge, and it was engineered to do what it does. It is not a Magnum. It is not, but it is a very good gun. Just over marketed, and people like to pick on it. But you just fit it in there. As long as it fits flush, it is to SAAMI specs or a little bit below. So you are good with, if it fits flat in there, you know you bumped it back good enough. Then there is the more expensive one, a little harder to use. It is the Wilson. The Wilson is, but it is a fine-tuned machined device to use. You have to buy one of these for each caliber. They're not cheap either, 30, 40 bucks. This is for my 7PRC. Stick in a brand new cartridge in there. You put this on top and it wobbles, so you got to turn it so there is no wobble. That means everything's flush. It's not touching the bullet. Then you so you want to make sure that, I'm sorry, I wasn't on camera. You want to make sure this doesn't wobble, so you know nothing's touching, and you can see the lines on there. Make sure I have that to the camera. You'll see the lines on there, and then you turn this dial until you feel resistance. Then once you feel resistance, you stop. Now that's your brand new case. You take that out, and then you take your fired case, put it in there. Now you're at the stop with that. You put it back to, this has a block on the bottom to make sure everything's sitting flush. Usually you'd be doing this on a desk. But then you turn it until you feel that resistance again. And it's going to tell you what your neck expanded. Again, the Wilson is the gauge. I think the gauge here was like 130 bucks. This is what you get. You get the gauge for on top, and you get this block of steel to make sure everything's flat and leveled. And then you have to buy these separate for each cartridge you do. When you're in my game, it gets a little expensive. I probably have 12 of these, or 12 or 15 of these different cartridges. Mainly my magnums and everything I'm shooting. If I have some issues and I'm not getting the readings I think I should be getting, I use that. Again, Wilson makes some very quality machined tools to use, but they are expensive when you start adding up for all the different rifles that I load for. But the other thing I didn't touch on is your necks. I did touch a little bit on bringing them back and what you want to, how they expand, or what you don't. You want to just shrink them back down to using the different ones if you don't want to go quite to SAAMI because you're shooting them out of that gun only. But I didn't tell you taking brand new brass and measuring the inside of the neck. Do have devices. I have Hornady. I also have a Forester for measuring the inside of necks. Plus, I bought this little mic gauge, which really, it's pretty nice too, to measure necks. I'm trying to gauge the thickness of the neck, and you might say, why the thickness? Why are you worried about that? Well, if it's thicker on one side of the case to the other, it's not going to let that bullet release. Like, it's going to not be consistent. Your brass isn't going to be consistent. Your shots aren't going to be consistent. You want everything the same diameter, so it's a nice, easy explosion going out the door. Because the thicker side would be more resistant than the thinner side, and gases will release different, things like that. That whole good shebang. I don't have to get into it right at this point with everybody, but that's the reason why. I will tell you, the better brass you buy, you don't have to worry about that. And again, when you're trying to shoot downrange 8 to 1,000 yards, anything over 5, I usually say, you want to make sure your brass is very consistent. So that is a recap of the shoulder bumps and the tools I used and stuff in that other video that I wanted to share with you. So you can set that die up, that full length resizing die. Now you know why about the shoulder bumping and why the neck sizing, everything that goes into just getting your brass all the same consistency. This is even before we trim. That will probably be in the next video. I will tell you why I trim even brand new brass. And sometimes why you don't have to. I might only trim my brand new brass. I'll measure, it might be only 1 out of 3 times, but it's always the first time because I want it all the same. So we'll get into that in the next video. I hope you liked this recap of that. It did go about 15 minutes because there's a lot to go over and a lot of things and tools you can use. You can't just start slamming things together and think everything's going to be, why aren't I shooting good? It takes a lot of learning and with yourself and making things your own. So I hope you like this. Please hit the like, share, whatever we do on YouTube. Again, I plan on keep doing these videos to help everyone out. I'm thinking about doing a podcast, a live podcast. I'm thinking about what night would be good, maybe like a Tuesday night from 7 to 8, and just answer questions about reloading. Or you might be at this phase and having issues, things like that, that I can help you out with and go over. So again, hope you like it. Like, share, follow, everything else. As always, God bless you and God bless the United States of America. We'll see you.